Most guitar players learn the caged shapes, but don't really know how to utilize them and move them all over the fretboard, unlock the whole thing. If you've ever seen a professional guitar player really flow across the neck, especially not just in their solos or arpeggios, but also in their rhythm playing, coming up with like really, really cool ways to play a chord progression, they are utilizing what I'm going to teach you in this lesson. Now, if you don't know, my name is Ryan Gahn. I've been helping guitar players for over 20 years really bridge the gap between their creativity and what they're able to play, becoming fully fretboard fluent. If you would, please hit the subscribe and bell notification to get more videos on how to make your guitar playing better. Now, this lesson, is taken from a mentorship program that I teach. I wanted to give it to you for free. I think it's a wonderful exercise to go through and a wonderful lesson that really helps open up the fretboard. All right, so because CAGED is sort of like how we're starting this week and getting just like a little bit deeper into it, and focusing on it intuitively, you know what I mean? And not necessarily like learning anything, not learning the concept. It's not a new concept to us now, but looking at different ways to look at it, right, visually. So I want to do this. This is a really great exercise, and we're just going to do it with the caged shapes, which means it's just going to be the triads, right? This is a great exercise that you can do, and this is what the next video will sort of talk about with your minor sevens and your dominant sevens and such. But if I'm looking at like something really, really simple, let's take a 1, A, E, D, right? So 1, 5, 4, because we're touching on all of the scale tones in Ionian, right? They're all in there. You know, the 1, 3, 5, right? The 5, 7, 2, and then the 4, 6, 1. All of the tones are accounted for. So what we could do is we could split this up into sections, and we're going to make sure that so we're going to do 3 strings at a time. And what we want to do is make sure that we're playing a 1, 3, 5 of each chord, right? And why that's significant is if I take, let's say I have my D shape, right? So if I play my D shape here in A, right? It would sort of be this 7 on the D string, 7, 9, 10, 9. If I do the 7, 9, 10, that just gives me a root 5 root. So that voicing is not quite gonna work. And when we're looking at these, the C and the D shape and the G and the A shape are going to start sort of forming into one. So we're not really thinking of C, A, G, E, D, right? It's sort of like the C and the D is fine, right? The A and the G, and then my E shape. It almost just pans out to being 3 shapes, right? So really easily, and I'm sorry, you could say, you can go right back to the bar chords just to make sure that you're playing the right thing, you know, to sort of see where the shape is, which I really like. So if I'm up here, I'm going to go up to A. So let's just say 12th fret, because I'm gonna move downward, right? I can move downward or upward. It really doesn't matter. The shapes are going to be, if I go down, you know, and then I play the same 3 chords, sort of moving up, the shapes are going to be the same. So if I have A, right? Playing my A shape, right? Bar chord. Well, I'm going to start here. I'm going to play the bottom 3 strings. Like I said, this exercise is going to be split up into 3 string chunks, okay? So what is that? 14, 14, 12. And that's my 1, 3, 5. Now, I wouldn't do the G shape here. This is why the G shape sort of, for this segment, morphs itself into the A shape, because that would be a 1, 3, 1. There's no 5 in there. I want to get that 5 in there. So look, if I have this, great, that's my A. What's my closest E? That was the next, right, part of that progression. Well, it's just going to be the bottom part of a E-shaped bar chord, right? So just that, 12, 12, 13, bring that down 2 frets for my D. How am I going to find my closest A here? I'm going to go to my D shape. That's my closest A. What about my closest E? I can look at it right here. 9, 9, 7. Off of that shape. Right? Bring that down 2 frets to D. Right? Where's my closest A here? Okay, 6, 5, 5. The bottom part of my E shape. All right. Where's my closest E? Well, I can look at it as a C shape or a D shape, but it's going to be that 4, 5, 4. E, So if I were to play that whole exercise, it would be like A, E, D, A, E, D, A, E, D, right? And this is really great for rhythm parts too, but just opening up the fretboard. Let's do the same thing, right? We're going to start with the same shape. It makes the exercise somewhat easy. But we're going to do the middle three, or not, well, they wouldn't really be the middle three, but the D, the G, and the B string, okay? Which means I have 14 of each one of those strings. That's my A, and that's 5 root note 3. All notes accounted for, right? So I'm going to go down to here, right? And that would be 14, 13, 12, D, G, and B string. And it's going to be the same shape, right? I'm just going from here to here to here. Okay, perfect. Got it. So, cool. Where am I going now? Well, I did go to the D shape before, right? And that's where I want to go, but I don't want to go to this D shape. Don't forget. That's like root 5 root. So I go to this one, right? It's basically now the C shape. Now the D shape is sort of obsolete in when I'm dealing with the B, the G, and the D string, and it becomes the C shape. Cool, but I'm just using those 3 strings. So that's 11, 9, 10, right? And you can see the 9, 10 from the D shape right there. So, cool. Now, from there, where would my E be? Straight across, just like that, to my D. Where's my A? Back to this one. It's like my E shape. And I got my C shape for E. C shape. So if I play that exercise, A, E, D, A, E, D, A, E, D. Cool. I'm just fragmenting that CAGED system, right? Great exercise. If I move now to the A, the D, and the G string, this A bar chord that I had earlier doesn't quite work, because now that would be a 1, 5, 1. So I want to do 3. So now I'm taking this for my G shape, right? My A, like we're doing when we're learning CAGED. A is so easily formed into G by using those 14 frets. Cool. So now I have 16, 14, 14. Got it. What would I do to get down to my E? Well, it's that bar chord, and I'm just taking the A, D, and G string. So now I have 16, 14, 14, 14, 14, 13. I love that shape because it just shows it's like an E chord, right? Right there. So I've got... Cool. Where's my A here? It's pretty easy to visualize my C shape, right? Because I have A right there. So 12, 11, 9. Where would my E be? Sort of that G shape. Right, just like where I started with the A. Right, okay, so that's my E. My D. Alright, where would my A be? Right, there's right out of that bar chord. Awesome. Where's my E? Well, that's pretty easy. You can see it right there. Where's my A? Back to where we started. Okay, so again, I'll just do the last one. All right, A, we're going to take that G shape again, right? But I have 17, 16, 14, 1, 3, 5, right? Now, where would my E be? This is kind of an interesting one, but it's this: 16, 14, 14, 3, 5 root note. That's this one. It's just like when we started with the A here, right? 3, 5 root note in my A, right? It's sort of off of my G shape. This is like as if there's my root note. If I were to take the G shape and there were like a 7th string up here, right? For the root note. Root note, no, but 3, 5 root note. So 16, 14, 14. For my E, bring that down 2 frets to my D. Now I have my A again. I'm going to take this. It's the same shape as that E chord down here, right? Where like if I do it for A, it was down here. So if I have like root, 5 root 3, it's just this, 5 root 3. It's like as if I had that chord almost, but that string up here, right? that's where it would be. Like I would have another string up here. So it's for my A, right? Where would my E be? Pretty easy. G form. D is G form. Where would my A be? Back to this one. Right, 9th fret, 7th fret, 7th fret. It's almost like if I do, right, 3, 5, 1. Cool. Where's my E? That shape, right? As though I have like another string up here. E, 5, 1, 3. E, D, and then where would my A be? The G shape there. Right, A, E, 4, 2, 2, or 3, 3, 5, 1. Right, I could bring that down. And then my final A shape doesn't really exist, but I can sort of fudge it. Try it. Mix up your chord progression. You know, I really like the idea of using a 1, 1, 5, 4, and you can see there's the voice leading in it. You know, all of them are really close. Like, you know, it's like where would I want to take that? Okay, well I can bring it pretty close. Voice leading into each one of those chords. It's a great exercise, and you're, like we're saying, we're splitting it into 3, right? Bottom 3 strings, right? And then the B, G, and D string, and then the G, D, and A string, and then the D, A, and E string. So for each one of those, there's only 3 shapes. There's not 5. It's C, A, G, E, D, right? It's not. It's so depending on which chunk you're using, the C and the D shape are going to be interchangeable. It might be the D shape, like here, when I was doing the B, G, D string, the D shape doesn't really exist. It's this shape from the C shape, right? But for A, on the bottom 3 strings, the D shape does exist, right? You could also say that that's the bottom of the C shape. But it does exist, right? So you only have to worry about 3 shapes, right? Just understand where they are. Like that last one that we did was like my A, G shape. This shape, which is like my G if I were to have another string above. Those are the same. My A shape is sort of like this E shape if I had a string above. Right? How do I get to E? We're back to the G. That's pretty easy. How do I get to A? That shape again. Right? How do I get to E? This shape again. Right? How do I get to A? Sorry. G shape again. That shape again. Like the shapes, it's the same repeatable shapes, especially once you find your E. Your D is just the same shape moved down 2 frets. So give it a go. Give it a shot. See if you can figure this out. This is really fun to sort of start piecing together, and opening up the fretboard. And to be honest, you can use it in like a million different ways. You know, if you have a gig, I very specifically, I've said this in the program before. I wish I could remember like exactly what week, what we were talking about, but it probably had something to do with the CAGED system. But you know, a buddy of mine playing like G, C. And I didn't know the set list, right? I knew some of the songs, but I didn't know the whole set list, so he's playing it, and my job was just to solo over it, right? But while he's singing, I'm not going to just play down here as well, right? I could play G to C up here. You know? Just to mix it up, so it's really great all-around exercise. So now, once that settles in a little bit, or at least you sort of get the idea, right, the concept, we can just switch it to minor, right? And it's pretty easy at this point when all of these shapes, we're just dealing with the ones, A, 1, 3, and 5, right? Just one note each, right? So we're only doing 3 notes. So for each one of those, if I take, if I can do the same thing, A minor, E minor to D minor. I'm just taking the shapes and making them minor. So even that first one, instead of major, just make it minor. Bottom 3 strings, right? 14, 13, 12. Great. right? Where's my E minor? We'll be just out of that one, right? Straight 12s, straight 10s for D minor, right? Now here, where would my A minor be? Well, I would have my D shape, but just make it minor. What about my E minor here? Just be out of that bar chord. D minor, right? What about my A minor here? Just be out of that, so all straight 5s. What about my E? Well, we're back to that D shape, just make it minor. I'm going fast on purpose. And then my D. I'm going fast just because like once you get the major concept, it'll be pretty easy to switch this around. Awesome. Let's just sort of go through it. I think that you got the idea. Go back. Now we have this, starting on the D string, 14, 14, 13, right, at the same bar chord, right? Where's my E minor? I can just do it that way. So now I have 14, 12, 12, starting on the D string. Bring it down 2 frets. Where do I have my A minor? This is one of my favorite ones, right? I actually have this, and it's going to be 10, 9, 10. It's this shape. It's this C shape, but that's your 3, so you're just making it minor by bringing it down to 10. The 11 goes to 10. So instead of, right, I have my C shape where I would have 12, 11, 9, 10, 9. I now have 12, 10, 9, 10, 8. That was the shape from before. So now this would be 10, 9, 10. Right? Where would my E minor be? There we go. D minor. Where's my A minor? Back to this one, right? 7, 5, 5. Right. Where's my E minor? It's going to be that weird one again. 5, 4, 5. Bring it down for D minor. Cool. A minor. Can end it right there. The A, the D, and the A, the D, and the G string. Let's do it. My A minor. Now this is where it would just be 12, 14, 14, which is 1, 5, 1. We don't want that. So we're going to have to invert this, okay? And that means what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it up to 15, 14, 14, right? Just like this shape that we did before, which is out of the G shape. It's out of the G shape, but that's my 3, so I'm bringing it down and making it a flat 3. 15, 14, 14. So A minor. Where's my E minor? Pretty easy. Straight out of that. Down for D. So 14, 14, 12, and then just down 2 frets for my D minor. Where's my A minor? Well, I know that that's my A, so I can just do a C minor shape. 12, 10, 9. Right? Where's my my E minor from here? We're going to do the G shape, but make it minor. Right? Down 2, so that would be 10, 9, 9. Down 2 frets for the D. Where's my A minor from here? 7, 7, 5. Where's my E minor? I can do my C shape, just minor. 7, 5, 4. Down to D. And then where I started for my A minor. Awesome. Okay, let's do the last one. Top 3 strings, E, A, D. All right, we're going to start with a G shape, but we're going to make it minor. Right? Kind of a cool sound there. And then the same thing that we were doing before, right, where it's like a G shape, but it's almost like I have another string right here. So, and I can see my E, flat 3, so flat 3, 5, 1, 15, 14, 14. Down 2 frets. Now I have my A. It would be like that bar chord if I had another root note up there, or a string up there, I'm sorry. 12, 12, 10. 5, 1, flat 3, if you can see it. 5, 1, flat 3, right there. Right? And then E minor is going to be pretty easy. You're going to take it from the G, just make it minor. D minor. Right? My A minor. My flat 3, there it is. Flat 3, 5, 1. Okay? My E minor. 5, 1, flat 3, 7, 7, 5. Down 2 frets. Right? And then A minor, straight off of that G, just like we started. G minor. Right? So that's the whole thing. You know, it's really I hope that sits pretty well as we're sort of getting into a little bit of a discovery phase and a little bit out of diagram this, diagram this, diagram this, and it's sort of like you already know the concepts and the shapes. we're just sort of putting it together. We're looking at it a different way, right? The concept is the same. The shapes are the same. We're just looking at it in a different angle. That's the best way that this sort of learning process happens, is like you're taking one concept and you're looking at it from as many different angles as you can to really solidify that concept. All right, my friends, thank you for staying until the end. If you are sort of stuck in that boring, sort of robotic guitar solo plateau and the neck isn't very familiar, there are a couple things that you could do. You can comment, I will reply. You can reach out. My email is in the description. There is a link to book a free consultation call if you feel like you're ready for our Fretboard Fluency Mentorship program. You can book a call, jump on a call, kind of lay out a plan to see what is best for you and your playing. And there also is a free training below, 3 steps to full fretboard fluency if you would like to check that out as well. Thank you for staying till the end, and I will see you in the next video.